Hello and welcome back to my channel. We are watching the first 10 minutes of Lawrence of Arabia. You might be shying away from foreign films, and some of you might be shying away from older films, thinking like, I don't know, what can I learn from this older film? I want, bigger scenes and greater emotion and bigger cinematography, and let me tell you, this movie has it. Watch this movie on the biggest screen that you possibly can because it is just majestic. That is the word I would use. But you feel something. This movie has a bookends setup. So if you're wondering how to structure your screenplay, you can always use what's called bookends. So you start the character in one place at the beginning, but it's actually them at the end. You can do it where it's literally the scene from the end, cut at the beginning and cut to the end. Or you can do where they're in the same exact scenario. So maybe you see them interacting with their neighbors in the beginning and they're a horrible neighbor, and then at the end you see them interacting with the neighbors in the same thing, but this time, because they've gone through the journey of the movie, they're the life of the party. So bookends is a great device that you can use to structure your screenplay. People love to have that feeling of having come full, they say full circle. I kind of think of it like a rainbow, like the two ends of the rainbow. So having come full pot of gold. Lawrence of Arabia, so we have the first 10 minutes of Lawrence of Arabia. It's a little less because I had the credits. I forgot to account for the credits are always like a minute. So this is like the first 9 minutes. This is based on a true story, which is crazy because the scenes that go on in here, there's a little bit of colonialism and things like that, like a little old-fashioned, but this really happened. So I think it's really important. I love history. I think it's important that we study history and we just understand that that's what it was at the time. But above all, don't let that scare you from watching the movie. Let's go ahead and get into the first 10 minutes of Lawrence of Arabia. The soundtrack on this is just amazing. This is Peter O'Toole. Apparently he was a real card back in the day. He had all these drunken stories. He was also in My Favorite Year. That's a movie from the 80s. So character in action, doing what they do on a motorcycle. We're getting a little taste of the tone. He's on a journey, enjoying the wind in his hair. It's a great metaphor for a movie, the journey. Like I said, the bigger the screen that you watch this on. It's in England, so I don't think it's the wrong side of the road. Okay, so we see that he's died. So this is a great way to get us to care about your character, is to kill them off in the first scene, right? Because now I already care about them. I always say this is like a chicken and egg. Do I care about him because he's dead, or do I care about now that he's gonna die? Which happens first?
He was the most extraordinary man I ever knew. Did you know him well? I knew him.
Again, other people talking about your main character.
But did he really deserve a place in here?
Is that Westminster Abbey? So other people talking about your main character is great.
Lord Allenby, could you give me a few words about Colonel Lawrence?
What, more words? The revolt in the desert played a decisive part in the Middle Eastern campaign.
Yes, sir, but about Colonel Lawrence himself.
No, I didn't know him well,
So these are all the people that we're going to have to pay attention to.
As anybody does.
Yes, it was my privilege to know him and to make him known to the world. He was a poet, a scholar, and a mighty warrior.
Thank you.
He was also the most shameless exhibitionist since Barnum and Bailey.
You, sir, who are you?
My name is Jackson Benton.
Well, whoever you are, I overheard your last remark, and I take the gravest possible exception. He was a very great man.
Did you know him?
Now, sir, I can't claim to have known him. I once had the honor to shake his hand in Damascus.
Knew him? No, I never knew him. He had some minor function on my staff in Cairo.
So that's great. It's like we want to then the intrigue of all these different places. And then there we go back. And we're not going to say, 10 years earlier or 20 years earlier. We don't need to. Just, before he died, this is what happened.
Michael George Hartley, this is a nasty, dark little room.
That's right.
We are not happy in it.
I am. It's better than a nasty, dark little trench.
Bedouin tribes attack Turkish stronghold. And I bet that no one in this whole headquarters even knows it happened. What would care if it did? Allow me to ignite your cigarette.
Sir?
Yes?
Flimsy, sir.
Thank you.
You do that once too often. It's only flesh and blood.
Michael George Hartley, you're a philosopher.
And you're balmy. Oh! It damn well hurts.
Certainly it hurts.
Well, what's the trick then?
The trick, William Potter, is not minding that it hurts. Oh, by the way, if Captain...
So that's a great line, right? So we get everything that this character is about in just that one moment. So he's doing this trick with a lit match, and he's touching the flame and managing to hold on to it and not react to it. And this kid is like, oh, well, let me try the same thing. He's, ow, it hurts. And so he says the trick is to not let it bother you, right? So that's his life philosophy. If you can come up with a catchphrase or a bit of philosophy that your character states, that's a great way to show who they are. Make it organic in the conversation, not just like, did I ever tell you what my life philosophy is? This is just like a thing he does, right? Always look on the bright side of life.
He's balmy. He's all right.
And we don't even get like a location, like where,
Lawrence.
where is this?
Yes. You're supposed to be... Do you usually wear your cap in the mess?
Always.
You're supposed to be on duty, aren't you? Where are you going? Mustn't talk shop, Freddy, not in the mess.
Matter of fact, I'm going for a powwow with the General.
I'm not asking as your superior, Lawrence. I'm asking as the secretary of this mess. We don't want chaps in here who should be on duty. Where are you going, please?
I must say, Lawrence.
Sorry.
You're a clown, Lawrence.
Ah, well, we can't all rely on Tony. Sorry.
It's an intrigue, right?
He's cool under pressure. Looks like they're in Egypt. He said Cairo.
Press lieutenant. Thumb his nose in his general officer commanding and get away with it.
It doesn't
Arabic
sound
newspaper.
as though he'd be any great loss, sir.
Now, don't try that, Dryden. There's a principle involved.
There is indeed. He's of no use here in Cairo.
So that they just said Cairo.
Be in Arabia. He knows his stuff, sir.
Knows the books, you mean? I've already sent out Colonel Brighton, who's a soldier. It's my considered opinion, and that of my staff, that any time spent on the Bedouin will be time wasted. They're a nation of sheep stealers.
They did attack Medina.
And the Turks made mincemeat of them.
We don't know that, sir.
We know they didn't take it. Storming a teacup, Dryden, a sideshow. If you want my own opinion, this whole theatre of operations is a sideshow. The real war is being fought against the Germans, not the Turks. And not here, but on the Western Front, in the trenches. Your Bedouin army, or whatever it calls itself, would be a sideshow of a sideshow.
The big things have small beginnings, sir.
Does the Arab Bureau want a big thing in Arabia? If they rise against the Turks, does the Bureau think they're going to sit down quietly under us when this war is over?
The Bureau thinks the job of the moment, sir, is to win the war.
So even if we're not quite sure about like what war he's talking about, he's giving little hints that, there's World War I going on. They're saying, okay, what about Arabia? And you have the Turks going in there. It doesn't really matter about all of the politics of things because we're following this one character. The more we understand about the politics, probably the richer the experience of the movie. But even if you don't know all that, this, he's a character. He's a real character. And these people debating, the one guy like, oh, he's the last person I want to send. And this guy's like, he's the first person I want to send.
Good morning. Salute. If you're insubordinate to me, Lawrence, I shall put you under arrest.
It's my manner, sir.
Come on.
My manner, sir. It looks insubordinate, but it isn't really.
Well, I can't make out whether you're bloody bad-mannered or just half-witted.
I have the same problem, sir.
Shut up.
Yes.
That's the first 10 minutes of Lawrence of Arabia. So a little bit of starting with the character. So we're not yet into the promise of the premise of like this sweeping, like majestic piece that we're going to see, but that it's very quiet, that it's really centered on this person. And what did everyone say at his funeral? But like, I didn't really know him that well. But he's being buried at Westminster Abbey. And the guy even said, like, do you think his life warranted this? So that's what we're going to see. You know, it's like, did his life warrant this whole movie we're about to watch? I think, you know, if you haven't seen Lawrence of Arabia at least once in your life, really invest the time to just sit there. Don't be on your phone. Don't be on your other devices. Just really spend some time, get some good friends in and watch this movie. And I think you won't be disappointed. And like I said, the bigger the screen, the better because of the majesty of the cinematography. Peter O'Toole does a great job with what the script has in it, which is really bringing this unusual person who really lived, but to life on the screen such that you care about him and you want him to succeed and you see the challenges. If he's being sent from Cairo to Arabia to a war that can't be won in the middle of another war, okay, high stakes, high stakes, which we don't always see in the first 10 minutes of what the stakes are involved, but there's what it is. So I hope you've enjoyed this first 10 minutes of Lawrence of Arabia, which you should watch, and I will see you for the next one. Thank you guys so much. All right, bye.